Abba, the Father, thinks. I'm God. I am present in this body. I know I'm wearing fabric. I'm not pointing at the fabric. This is my body, yeah? This. I have a brain. It's interesting. I was searching YouTube for brainstorm. And I noticed the Arctic Monkeys have a song, and it's called Brianstorm. Clearly they don't have much. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing. Brian is a misspelling of brain, isn't it? Really? I mean, you could argue it's a misspelling of brain. So obviously you don't have much of a brain there. Anyways, but it's an interesting thing because obviously Rihanna is, well, her name is very similar to Brian, because it's, it's B, Rianne, Brian. And it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because, brainstorm, and this is what I do a lot. I do this all the time. I'm constantly brainstorming. I'm constantly thinking. And it's like, well, I'm thinking of a few ideas here that I want to talk about. I mean, AI, those are two letters, and they're right in the middle of brain, which is quite interesting. But that's the thing about artificial intelligence. It's called artificial. I mean, it's an interesting word, artificial, because art is part of the word artificial. And artificial is, I guess you could call it synthetic. Yeah. And that's the other thing about fabric and Rick and the fact that I wear all kinds of fabrics. I don't even know what fabrics I wear. I probably wear cotton, and I probably wear polyester. I wear a mix of all kinds of fabrics. Synthetic and natural fabrics. Anyways, bloody blah. I was just saying that because yeah. Well, this is the thing. I'm God, and I have to wear clothes. And if I'm wearing clothes, I'm wearing fabric. Yeah? And the thing is, I used to be friends with a guy called Patrick. Yeah? And there was a club in London. I always wanted to go there. He went there. I never went there. But it was a club called Fabric. It got shut down. It was on a road called Charterhouse Road, which is the boarding school I went to was called Charterhouse. And I actually had a couple of Fabric live albums, which they record DJ sets and they sell the CDs. But anyway, that club got shut down. Fabric's an interesting one because obviously people talk about the fabric of space and time. People talk about in science. People talk about fabric of the universe, basically, and stuff like that. But that's the thing. I don't walk around naked. I don't. If I'm ever naked, well, I guess it's when I'm in the shower, and then in the shower, yeah. And then I tend to remain covered or dressed the rest of the time. You know what I mean? Like, I don't just walk around the house naked all day long or outside. You know what I mean? I have to wear something, and obviously wear is we are fabric. That's right, we're fabric. No. I'm wearing. It's on my body because I'd rather not walk around naked. I guess that's my brainstorm. I wasn't planning on talking about that at all. But what I wanted to say about brainstorm is that, well, what's a rain? B, rain. So brain, B, rain. Well, rain's what falls out of the sky, isn't it? Unless you're talking about, unless you don't know how to spell rain, as in like how a king reigns. Yeah, which is spelled R-E-I-G-N. Maybe I should start spelling brain B-R-E-I-G-N. Yeah, maybe I should just call my brain B-R-E-I-G-N and just call that brain. Yeah, it's my word. I've invented, it's my brain. I be rain. I'm the king of the universe, right? The king of kings, lord of lords. Brain. But that's the strange thing, right? Because, people, they've called their brains brain. And rain falls out of the sky. And they talk about brainstorm. Like... yeah. Weird, isn't it? Very strange. So I'm titling this video, Abba the Father Thinks. And that's the weird thing about the word thinks, isn't it? Because it's thin, or, how do you really say think without saying thing? Do you know what I mean? Like, how do I say think without saying thing? Does a thing think? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I can pick up in any inanimate object, right? For instance, this is a crystal. This is a purple amethyst crystal. And whatever that is at the back of it. You know what I mean? It's a mixture of, it's whatever it is, right? It's got some rock there or whatever that is. This is crystal. But this is an inanimate object. Crystal is very similar to the name Christ. That's why, people use crystals so much. That's why people are obsessed with crystals. It's the name. It's the word. And I guess you could say they look nice as well. They can look nice as well. But people, they claim that crystals have healing properties and, they can do different things and, they can raise your frequency and all that kind of stuff. Well, why is that then? It wouldn't happen to be anything to do with the word crystal, would it? And obviously there are lots of different crystals with different names. And, that's the thing, the different words. They're different words. It's the words that are the things. It's the word that's powerful, really. It's the words associated with that item that make it useful in certain situations, I suppose. It's all about, yeah. Anyway, but that is an object. It doesn't think, but it is a thing, isn't it? That's interesting because I had an addiction to K, which is short for ketamine. And I had, a lot of it went up my nose. And I put so much up my nose, I gave myself sinusitis or something. Wow, I've given myself a sinus problem, which I need to get sorted out. But
you know, Aaliyah Dana Houghton's ghost, she's on me, she's upside down, and she's sitting on my face, and that's the thing, right? Thing, K, right? Think. Thing, K. Think. Well, my brain's here. It's not here, it's here, right? And the thing, my dad, he was always a thin guy. I never knew him ever to be fat. And my mum, she was always fat. I mean, ever since I was born, she was always fat. She always had to be fat, her. Yeah. The butch fat her. Yeah. And my ex-girlfriend, what was her name? Ania Bilak. So, her initials are A.B. And then what I used to do, obviously I had sex with her. And I would, spin her around. Right? Before having sex with her. You take A.B. and you flip it the other way, you get B.A. A.B. B.A. Abba. And I think she worked for British Airways. Yeah, I think she worked for British Airways as well, just to make it even more fucking confusing. The world tries so hard to try to rob me. They just don't want to stop, do they? Yeah. Well, there's that DJ, Norman Cook. He goes by the name Fat Boy Slim. And I just thought, Slim is thin. Think. Fat Boy Think. I'm Fat Boy Think, yeah. Or Fat Man Think, or whatever. Whatever, right. What happened to that guy who was Fat Man Scoop? He's dead, isn't he? He died on stage. He died of a heart attack, didn't he? Fat Man Scoop. Well, I guess I'm Fat Man Scoop. I mean, I am quite fat. I'm definitely, I'm feeling a bit rounded. I definitely need to move my legs a bit more. But I'd say I have a good metabolism, actually. I'm surprised I'm not any fatter than I actually am, really, considering how long I've been sat in this chair for. And the thing is with stress, not eating, it's hard. It's hard, especially when I'm sitting here thinking all day long. I sort of, and the stress, and it's like, I'll stop, I'll have something to eat, and I come back, and it's like, yeah. It just happens. So, I'm probably going to try a week-long fast at some point soon, I think. Maybe. I need some nice fruit. I need some nice fruit and vegetables. Stuff. I bought some potatoes ages ago. I've got 2 bags of potatoes. They've just been sitting. I don't even know how long they've been there for. I mean, I probably wouldn't even open the bags to look inside them. Seriously, I just throw them away. Just get rid of them. I just totally forgot about them. That's the thing. I put them in the cupboard, and then that was that. Anyways, I'm not really sure what I'm talking about with this video. I'm just sort of thinking, whatever. Yeah.
brainstorm. How does God control the weather? I wonder. Brainstorm? I mean, this is the thing, right? I'm thinking, and it's like the weather's getting crazier and crazier, and like everyone's like, "What's going on?" Yeah, I'm just thinking. That's all. You know what I mean? I'm thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. And, flooding and hurricanes and whatever. Just all kinds of crazy shit's happening. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be weather. Could a storm can mean all kinds of things, right? I mean, creating chaos, could be considered a storm. The calm before the storm. Yeah? The calm before the storm. Excuse me, what? And also, like breaking in somewhere is called a storm as well, right? If someone broke into your house, as an example, that would be storming in. Yeah? And, Star Wars, they've got stormtroopers. Yeah? I'm sure there's a few guys on this planet who've got stormtrooper helmets and bullshit like that. Junk they don't need. But instead of throwing it away, they'd rather live life as a dork. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm not into all that shit. When you see these YouTubers, these guys who've got like all their toy models and figurines, and they've got all their little kids' toys and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. And especially how much money they pay for it all as well. Do you know what I mean? What the fuck is wrong with people? It's magic power they want. That's really what they want. I mean, that's the thing, right? Darth Vader. Well, what's an invader? Yeah, what's an invader? Someone invades your country, they're an invader. Right? Darth Vader. You don't know the power of the dark side of the Force. What I was saying about the guy I used to be friends with called Patrick? Well, who's Emperor Palpatine? Palpatine. Emperor Palpatine. Yeah? What happened to him? Oh, Darth Vader picked him up and threw him down the fucking tunnel. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I can't remember what's that actor's name? I've totally forgotten about it. He was in some like wizard movie, and it was this like giant dragon that sort of like there's this big dragon, and it bursts through the ground. It's an old film. It's from like the early 80s probably, something like that. Maybe even the 70s, maybe, I don't know. But there's a scene, it's like all about wizards and stuff, and there's this dragon, and the dragon like bursts out of the ground, and the guy who plays the Emperor Palpatine, well, I think he just gets eaten or destroyed by the dragon. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So this is the thing. This is the weird connection, because obviously, well, maybe you don't know this, but I've mentioned it about 1,000,000 times already. My dad is called my biological dad, and I don't even really consider him my dad. I mean, he married my mum, my biological mum. He got her pregnant, and then he lost all their money, and then she divorced him because he gambled all the money away. So, and I saw him like
I barely ever saw the guy. I rarely ever saw him. So he did a runner, basically. Yeah, I mean, he went back to Scotland. I lived in England, and that was that. And I didn't really ever see him again, except for maybe like once or twice. And he's more of a sperm donor than anything else. He's a thin guy. He was always a very thin man. Never ever thought of him as a fat guy, ever. But this is the thing, right? Because, like I'm titling this video, Abba, the father, thinks. And obviously, Charlie's a thin guy. Father can be read as fat her, because obviously my mom, who's dead now, she was fat. And Abba, well, my ex-girlfriend, her initials were AB. And obviously that mirrored becomes Ba. In fact, if you look at the logo for, the band, Abba, the musical group called Abba, the musicians. Yeah, because the way Abba is written, it's A, and then it's a backwards B, and then it's mirrored the other way. So the B's in the middle, they look like a butterfly. They kind of look like butterfly wings, don't they? So yeah. Magic. And that's the thing, right? Because my house number is 12. That's A and B. And my aunt and Donald, my aunt, my dead mum's sister, is called Christine Neal. She's married to a man called Donald Neal. And they decided they wanted to live in a house which is number 21. What a shocker, huh? So you put 12 and 21 together, you get the name Abba. Not to mention 21 is mentioned, the number 21 is associated with the world card, which basically depicts God's arse. I mean, that's what the world card really depicts, is the ass of God. The ring it's the ring in the sky. That's my butthole in the. That's my butt in the sky. So why would my aunt and uncle decide that they want to, Christine and Donald? Donald means ruler. That's what, when people say, oh, what does Donald mean? What does this name mean? It means ruler. Right? And Christine, Christ is in the word Christine. Yeah. Everyone's trying so hard to try to steal from me. I'm the one who brainstorms. I'm the one who thinks. And then, where my aunt and uncle live, they got their town got flooded. It was on my birthday. Their town got Monmouthshire, Monmouth in Southwest Wales. In South Wales, it got totally flooded.
mean, the thing. You know what I was reading about? I learned something yesterday about. I saw a video and it was talking about the belt of truth. And I know about the armor of God. Yeah, Jesus talking about putting on the full armor of God, and it was actually Paul who mentioned in the book of Ephesians, and he spoke about the belt of truth. Wow, the belt of truth. So if I had a belt on, which I don't, but if I did have a belt on and I took it off, well, I do sort of have I mean, I've got a cord that goes around my dressing gown to keep it closed. I guess you could call that a belt, kind of. But like a belt. I mean, what does a belt mean? The belt means to make a lot of noise, right? To shout. If someone shouts, that is sort of belting. Or someone sings very loudly, they're like, it's belting it out, I think, or something like that, isn't it? But also, a belt can mean to wear it. It could be the physical item wearing the belt, or it could mean taking a belt and whacking someone with it. So it's interesting how people have been belted over the years. I guess you could thank Paul for that. Yeah. I mean, think about it. If the belt of truth, I mean, that's the thing, right? How many people on this planet wear the belt? Do you know what I mean? If you wear a belt around your waist, does that mean you're an honest person? Does that mean that you know the truth, or you are the truth? Do you know what I mean? No. That's total garbage. I had a belt, and yeah, I can barely get it on anymore. It's like it's down to the last hole. Yeah, it's I need to shrink down a bit. I need a new belt anyway, but this is the thing. This is the reason why I don't buy new clothes very often, because I keep intending to lose weight, and I never, and I'm still waiting to lose weight. You know what I mean? I'm still. That's a good point, isn't it? Losing weight. Yes. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to do it soon, I think. What's that supermarket called? Waitrose. Waitrose. It's an interesting name for a supermarket, though, isn't it? Considered one of the most expensive supermarkets. I tell you what, they have nice. I do like the food they have at Waitrose. Yeah. Don't go there very often though anymore. In fact, I order most of my stuff through Just Eat, the delivery company. I don't even go to the supermarket. I get Just Eat to deliver everything to my door. I think that's way more expensive than Waitrose. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I find I'm usually spending £100 every couple of days. Every 2 or 3 days, I'm spending at least £100, or there, around about £100. I mean, tobacco costs a lot of money,
I mean, 57 quid for 50 grams of tobacco through Just Eat. 57 quid. And then that, and I still have to get papers and filters. And that's 60 quid. That is 60 quid. And then I get 40 quid for everything else. You know what I mean? It's like whatever else I can fit in the basket. Because I think, they don't, I mean, some shops, they don't even, well, I usually would order from the co-op. But I don't think they, I can get to about £110. I don't know how much, I don't know what their limit is, but there is a limit. They do limit. Anyways, I'm just thinking, brainstorming, just thinking of stuff. Just felt like speaking my mind. Yeah, it's an interesting word, mind, isn't it? Yeah. Because what does MIN mean? Well, that's usually an abbreviation for minute. Right? Minute, means small. Yeah, small, minute means small. And a minute is 60 seconds. I mean, that's time. Yeah. D. Yeah. Yeah. Well. Slim chance. This is an interesting, combination of words. Slim chance. Slim chance. I mean, this is the thing, Palpatine, he's called Chancellor Palpatine or Emperor Palpatine. And, you've heard of the Matrix, right? Well, that's the thing, because I used to be friends with a man called Patrick. I was the mate, Rix. I was, mate means friend, but also Patrick, obviously, he had sex with a lot of women as well. So, mate, and obviously, he had a lot of mates. So, it was a very long list of people Patrick called mate, or he got in bed with. Not to mention, he even had sex in my bed. One New Year's Eve with his girlfriend at the time. She had an interesting name, Naringa. Yeah, ring the bell? Does that ring any bells? That's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because bell is in the word belt. Belt of truth. Yeah.
Hey, you know, DJ turntables, you know, you can get the cheap ones, which are belt driven, or you can get the direct drive ones. Yeah, good quality ones. Yeah. Yup. I mean, it's the thing, obviously, you know, most churches, they tend to have bells, right? And so if you combine church bell, with belt of truth, then, you know, everyone's worshiping bell. Basically, bell, whoever bell is. You know, everyone has a door. You know, how many houses do you know that don't have a doorbell? Yeah? Want to put a ring on that finger? Ding dong. What else? What else? What else? Excuse me. What's that word? Belate? 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 You know when people, you know, they say something like happy belated birthday or something like that, right? Well, you know, I am God. I'm God, and I'm late. Am I not? I feel like I'm late. You know, look at the word late. L8. What am I supposed to do? Just not eat then? And just starve to death? Well, I guess there's only one way to find out. Well, I don't know, but I have to lose weight. I said I was gonna do what, you know, I'm gonna change. I have to take care of myself. And if anything changes, it changes. If it doesn't, well, yeah, I'm gonna be real mad. Felt like I singed my hair there. Bell 8. Bell 8. There's Bell's whiskey. Or maybe Bellend. That's right, Bellend. Oh, I see, Bellend. Right. Bell End. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because the penis, the tip of the penis, you know, people call it a bell end, don't they? So the church worships the bell end. Is that? Well, that's the magic, isn't it? That's basically the, you know, it's yeah, it's something like that, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously, you know, that wouldn't be the real church in that case. You know, if well, this is the thing. You know, that's the thing, right? Because, you know, Jesus Christ is the head of the church, right? And the church is the body of Christ. Well, usually you find the bell of the church at the top of the church. And the bell, you know, because obviously people say about the penis, they say bell end. or it's the head of the penis. I don't even know what to think of that. I really don't. I guess that's what they call fucked up. Yeah. So, what else? Yes, an interesting. I was just thinking of Ali G. When he says something. You a batty boy. You a batty boy. Abba. Well, that's the thing. Abba, T, boy. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing, right? Because Jesus was hung on a crucifix that looks like a T. Abba, T, boy. A batty boy. It seems everywhere I look, anything I think of, it's, I feel insulted, humiliated, and, people are just attacking me with a horribly designed language, basically. I mean, eventually I'm gonna, I'm breaking it down bit by bit. That's the thing. I'm breaking it down bit by bit. And all these people who rely on my power, they're not going to have, there's not going to be anything left for them. They're going to wonder what happened. I mean, I tried telling people, but, no one wanted to pass the message on, or no one cares, right? No one wants to know. No one's actually genuinely interested in what I'm saying. They just think I'm some sort of clown. Anyway. Yeah. There's this problem with all these Christians is that, well, this is the thing, they're all going around, calling themselves Christians. Or, they say, it sounds like Chris, as if we're talking about a man called Chris instead of Christ, because no one says Christian. But the thing is with my ex-girlfriend, because of what I did with her, I'm Christ, and I tied her, and her name was Anne. Ania. Basically, I am Christ tied Anne. Christ tie Anne. That's what I did. And the whole world is just totally cuckoo, fucking totally confused about what's going on. And I just want people to listen to me and to pay attention. I mean, that's an interesting thing, isn't it? X, X, X. So when I separated from my ex-girlfriend, and then she went on to all these other guys, you know, X, 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 X. Well, that's the thing, right? Because X, 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 that's 3 X's. And, well, X, in numerology, well, X is the 24th letter of the alphabet. 2 plus 4 is 6. So in numerology, X is 6. So X, X, X is really 666. You know, and that, you know, that talks about, you know, the book of Revelation, it talks about the second beast. The second beast has 2 horns like a ram. And, you know, causes everyone to worship the image of the first beast. You know, there's this mark, it's called 666. Basically. It's weird because I was looking at on my YouTube homepage, and there's a channel called Desiring God, and that guy, the pastor John Piper, he did a video title of, you know, what do you do when you feel your spirit sink? And I looked at the view count on it, and it had exactly 666 views on it. Not an uncommon thing, really. I mean, I see that kind of thing quite a lot, really. Yeah. So, and so that's the thing, right? So 3 X's. 3 is the Empress card in the tarot. And obviously, my ex is, you know, she's my ex-girlfriend, I'm her ex-boyfriend, but 3 X's is to do with the Empress. 4X, on the other hand, is either an Australian beer called Castlemaine, which nobody likes to drink because it tastes like shit, and the currency markets. You know, obviously people who trade currency pairs, that's called Forex. You know, if you trade the pound against the dollar, or the euro against the dollar, or the, you know, the dollar against the Japanese yen, or stuff like that, that's Forex. And it's spelled Forex. It's not actually spelled XXXX. So yeah. And that's the thing. I'll mention this, okay? Because I posted a video about that rapper, that dead rapper. He's called XXX Tentacion. And what happened once? What happened once was when I was with Patrick. He invited me to London, to Buckinghamshire, where his family's house was, where his brothers lived, and his mum. And he invited a bunch of people there. And he had it was a massive house with a massive garden, and he was having a party there one night, and he told me to buy a tent to bring to it. even though they had like a massive, gigantic like marquee type. Well, I don't know what. So yeah, like it's like a really gigantic tent. I mean, I could have just slept in there, but he told me to get a tent, and I just bought like £20 or £30 tent or something like that, and then I went there with him, and I got really drunk that night, and I'd set up my tent in the garden, and it turned out two people had sex in my tent, and yeah, and this is the thing, because obviously in the Old Testament, there's the tent of the tabernacle. It's where the Ark of the Covenant was kept, and that was supposed to be the dwelling place of my spirit. And so, the name XXX Tentacion, or Tentacion, however you say it, it has a connection with what happened at that party. Because this is the thing, tent, it's an important word for me. But the thing about, the word tent is that it has the number 10 in it. And in Roman numerals, that is X. And then, you're basically just left with X and T, which is basically, you got the St. Andrew's cross, and then you got the crucifix of Jesus Christ, basically. And that's it. Yeah. Well, it's been a fun life. Not really. What other things can I think about? Tell you what, I haven't had a bath for a long time. I need to sort out my bathroom. I've got 2 showers in my house, and I usually just use I've got 1 shower and I just stick with that. I've got so much cleaning to do. I've got so many things to organise. But that's the thing, bath. Well, Abba, Bath. Right? My cousins were born in Bath, the city of Bath. I was born in Aberdeen. Which means I'm an Aberdonian, in a sense, right? I'm from Aberdeen, so I guess you could say I'm an Aberdonian. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Aberdeen, it sounds like bird. Birdeen. Aberdeen. A bird. And that's the thing, right? The Holy Spirit, the dove, is a bird. But then when people talk about birds, they think woman. Oh, check out that bird. You know what I'm saying? There are male birds and there are female birds, right? But then again, my mum was called Fee, so yeah. That's the thing, right? The world reflects me. But who's Ree? Do you know what I mean? Mary, that's the thing, right? Mary, reflect. Thieves are everywhere. I look at a world of thieves. I'm so tired of it. Yeah, cars have got tires as well. Yeah, that's fucking great. Yeah, and motorbikes and lorries and airplanes. Yeah, they got tires. They got wheels. I mean, this is the thing, right? You read the Ten Commandments. It says, "Thou shalt not commit adultery." And then people thought, well, let's just have two words for not then. We could have not as in don't do something. And then not, well, we just tie a knot then. And then, you can just break the rule and pretend like you never broke it. You just say, no, I didn't do that. That's not sex. I did not murder that man. You know what I'm saying? Like, just tie a knot. Yeah, just play dumb. That's what human beings are like. That's what this world's like. And that's what I've got to deal with. I've got to deal with it. And somehow bring it under control by creating chaos. Create enough chaos, eventually people will listen. Well, I would hope so anyway. I mean, I don't, if I were to die, I wouldn't really know what to expect after I die. I'm not entirely sure what would happen. I don't know. I guess I wouldn't be worried. But yeah. Have you ever seen a video of like a mother cat and she's got loads of kittens, or like a a dog that's a mum to lots of puppies, and they all want to get to the the teat to get their milk, and they just like they just want to. And the dog's like, I've had enough. Leave me alone. Wants to run away. That's my life. That's what it's like. I look at the world and it's just constantly coming after me to try to take from me. And I feel tired, exhausted, drained, and I'm mad about it. I'm trying to get people to stop. Eventually I'm going to get to the point where I do get them to stop. And they're going to be unhappy about it. It's just a very long process to get these things done. Well, it's been a long process. I'm kind of hope I'm near the end of it now. So, I'm kind of hoping that I'll be finished soon. Should I do a tarot reading? Yeah, go on then. Tarot reading? Yeah, cool. Or just forget it. Okay. Yeah, forget it. Yeah. Have you ever heard of the... Excuse me. Have you ever heard of the hive mind? Years and years and years ago, before I knew I was God, I remember going on YouTube and I heard about this thing called the hive mind. And I don't know, maybe I shared it to Facebook. I might have shared it to Facebook, I don't know. Maybe I did. I probably did. But the idea of the hive mind is that, well, I'm not that, I mean, it's not something I've looked at very, in any time recently, but the idea of the hive mind, I guess, is, it's people think they have a collective consciousness. So they all think that, so for instance, a musician, they're trying to think of some sort of, they're trying to, musicians will often talk about this, they get in this sort of state of mind that they can acquire inspiration, that they'll hear the music from somewhere and then they'll just start putting it down on paper or whatever, or start playing it on an instrument. They'll record it somehow. And so they took, people say about that, with, writing and all kinds of, thoughts like that, people who are artists, people who are creative, and, people talk about the hive mind and they talk about this sort of collective consciousness, and, they seem to think that, it's sort of like all the people all together are like a giant pool of consciousness, and that, everyone's connected like that, and, they basically just call what's in the middle, just call it the collective consciousness. Well, that's what I am, right? I mean, in a sense, I'm God, but the hive mind, it basically just says that I'm the collective consciousness, I suppose, because I'm at the center of everything. You know what I mean? I'm the light of the world. All of the inspiration, these people get, it's drawn from me. So, yeah. That's why all art reflects me in, it reflects me in different ways, but it varies how it reflects me, but they all reflect me in some way or another. It's because it's my energy. People want my energy so they can have their art piece that reflects me in some way, because then it becomes a powerful piece of art for them. And essentially what all these tarot readers and people on YouTube, they're just doing the same thing. They're putting video titles and they're just constantly just trying to pull on my energy, and then they record their video, upload it, and put it on the internet, and people watch it and subscribe and like and hit the bell and all that stuff. And yeah, and here I am. Yeah, the collective consciousness, the hive mind, God. Yeah. Where's the thanks I get? What you know what I mean? Like, all these people, they're I'm the power source. I'm the one that people try to mimic or impersonate or duplicate or talk about, or draw something like me. Yeah, they'll try to make drawings like me, or I guess you could look at Pepe the Frog, or like the NPC Doomer guy, in the memes and stuff like that. Yeah. People, they're constantly trying to pull on my energy in one way or another, whether it's through words or drawings or music or lyrics or whatever. It's just, they just constantly keep trying to capture my energy. And I wish I could get some recognition for it. I wish people would stop ignoring me. This is the thing. There's Twitter, which is now called X, and you got all these people who are on X, and it's like, well, who's X? The world wants to confuse who is X, because really I'm X, right? I'm X. I'm the X of. That's the thing, because I'm the word, I'm the letter, because letter is a word, and X is a letter. So, I own that. It's me. And the thing is, there's a website, it's called X Videos. And yeah, they're not of me. Yeah. This is what I have to fight against. I have to fight against a world that wants to play this game with me of X. Who's X? They've reduced me to a letter and called me X. Or T. That's the thing. The world just keeps, whether it's X or it's another letter or another word, they want to reduce me to absolutely nothing. And the world, cannot survive without me. So this is a terrible situation for me. You know, I have to explain this to people and get people to listen to me who don't want to listen to me, and they're being destroyed at the same time. I mean, obviously the situation is worse for them than it is for me, but I mean, obviously, well, they're out there having fun at my expense, but ultimately they'll lose their lives and I'll keep mine. So even though my life is very boring right now, it only gets better. So in the long run, I mean, I live forever, so you know, that's a long time. That's a lot of BJs. Yeah, that's a lot. Yup. You know, what should I be sad about? Really? I'm fighting off a bitter world. A world that hates me, is jealous of me. All I have to do is get past the point I need to get past. And that'll be it. I am very exhausted though. So, yeah. Anyways, I think I'll leave it there. Shall I upload this? Shall I? If I want to. Okay, yeah. I'll think about it.